Hey, this is Dave Filoni, supervising director of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts. In fact, the only podcast I listen to.
Rebel Force Radio with Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack. Your source for the Force.
I recently encountered a man who wore Mandalorian armor. Jango Fett.
Jango Fett was a common bounty hunter. How he acquired that armor is beyond me.
In discussions directly with George, he was very adamant about Jango not being Mandalorian, which is the entire reason why that scene existed, that moment. To have the specificity that Jango was not Mandalorian, at least not to Almec, not to those Mandalorians. So, I think the assumption being when Attack of the Clones came out, of course Jango must be a Mandalorian because there he has the armor. But, he's a bounty hunter. Bounty hunters, as we showed in the series, wear all kinds of armor. Of course, Boba Fett famously wearing Mandalorian armor. So you have that tradition of his father's son wearing this armor, but it doesn't speak to, the bigger warrior cast. Now, Jango was a bounty hunter that somehow came into having that armor. Perhaps he ran for a period with Mandalorians, was adopted into that warrior culture for a period and trained with them and gained greater skills at that point. I think all that's possible, but would he have a direct blood relation to that line like Satine would? No. He wouldn't be a warrior of that nature, he's different. And he's, not working the most honorable profession anyway as a warrior, being a bounty hunter. So, if that clears it up, probably you'll just get more mail now from this answer, and probably I'll get more questions at Comic-Con. But as far as, for me, the continuity that I'm expressing in the Clone Wars, Almec is not willing to commit to Obi-Wan the idea that Jango Fett's a Mandalorian. And I believe Jango was adopted into the Mandalorian culture in the comic books. He wasn't, per se, of blood. And in the comics, and a lot of other material, the idea that you are of blood and Mandalorian isn't necessarily, I saw them go as far as having different aliens like Rhodians being Mandalorians. So there's a slightly different concept there for what Almec would probably think of as a Mandalorian. And it's kind of easy to assume, well, why would Almec know how this guy Jango Fett got his armor if we're to perceive that, they were working much more subversively or as a splinter group. We have not got into the case about the Mandalore, the title that's, the rightful ruler. I kind of try to portray Pre Vizsla as the guy that thinks that he should be that he should take over, that he should rule, that he needs to reinstitute these warrior ways of the past, that Satine is destroying all of that, and it's wrong, it's not who they are. That's kind of what's at stake for him. But, that's kind of why Jango's not, a Mandalorian per se, especially to someone like Almec.
Hey, this is Dave Filoni of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you are listening to Rebel Force Radio with Jason and Jimmy.